In the cerebrum, grey matter lies toward the outer side. Grey matter is that part which is containing more of cell bodies. And in the cerebrum, this cortex, it is folded into gyri and sulci. Gyri is the name given to the fold which is raised upward, and sulci is the name given to the groove. Because of these gyri and sulci, the surface area of cerebrum increases many folds. More surface area means more neurons can be accommodated in the brain. Besides these sulci, which are not very deep, there are some deeper grooves also present, and they are called as fissures. We have already studied about one such fissure, which is dividing cerebrum into two hemispheres. That is the longitudinal fissure, which is dividing cerebrum into two hemispheres. It is very important to study about cerebrum because cerebrum is the seat of intelligence. So all cognitive functions which are related to mental capabilities, memory, understanding and complex functions, they are located at cerebrum. From the educational point of view also, we should know that reading, writing and speaking, which are related to language learning abilities, they are also located on cerebrum. Another very important function, that is of storage of memory, that is also located on cerebrum. Besides this fissure, there are other fissures also present which are dividing hemisphere into 5 parts. These 5 parts are named as lobes and insula. There are 4 lobes present on cerebrum. They are named as frontal, parietal, occipital and temporal lobe, and there is insula which is present deep seated inside and not visible from outside. We have read about these names frontal, parietal, occipital and temporal when we studied about the bones of skull. So these lobes, they are corresponding to the area which are lying beneath these bones of skull. The bones of skull are also named frontal, parietal, temporal and occipital, corresponding to the brain part. So that means frontal part is that part of the brain which lies beneath frontal bone and so on. Whereas insula is deep seated. All the functions of brain which are located on cerebrum are further located on these lobes. For example, frontal lobe is more related to planning, reasoning and problem solving activities. Similarly, morality, personality and social skills, they are also related to frontal bone. Emotions like recognition and regulation of emotions, that is also the function of frontal part. And motor functions, because it is containing Broca's area which is related to language learning. We will study about this area in detail so that we can understand how language learning takes place. So to start with, we should remember that activities like planning, reasoning, problem solving, morality, personality and social skills, emotions and motor functions are functions located at frontal lobe, and this is the part which is present in the front part just beneath the forehead. So this part is related to these functions. Then next comes parietal lobe. Parietal lobe, it lies at the back side of frontal lobe. This lobe is called as the parietal lobe. This lobe has areas which are related to maintaining body posture, reading and comprehension, sense of time and space, association between functions of other lobes. So this is the area which is more related to functions like body posture, reading and comprehension and time and space understanding. Now what we can see that language learning is not related to only one part of the brain. Some part is related to frontal lobe and some function is related to parietal lobe. The area where this portion meets, that is also very important, because very important areas related to functions of frontal and parietal lobe, they are located in this area. Next comes temporal lobe, which is present beneath these two, just behind near the ear sides. This lobe is related to understanding, memory and learning, and temporal lobe is related to hearing also. Here we have very important area which is called as Wernicke's area, that is related to language learning. So what we can see now, that in learning, some part of frontal lobe, some of temporal lobe, some of parietal lobe, they all are related, and because of which learning and communication of languages, it takes place. Occipital lobe, it lies at the back side, it is related to vision. So this is how the parts of cerebral, they are related to specific functions. As far as insula is concerned, it is the part which is lying beneath the lobes. So it is sometimes also called as fifth lobe. So in this picture you can see that if we remove the upper part, then we will be able to see the insula which is embedded below these lobes. Main function of insula is that it receives sensory information from the environment, and it is involved in formation of our present moment awareness. Specific activation were found for guilt in amygdala and insula. So that means it is also related to sense of shame and sense of guilt. Left anterior insula has the role of empathy and social cognition, such as empathy to distinguish primordial emotions like disgust, fear and happiness. So that gives us some idea that specific area of brain is related to fear, happiness, disgust and guilt, and this is the area which is related to empathy and understanding of emotions of others. Now let us talk about other two parts of brain which are called as thalamus and hypothalamus. Thalamus, epithalamus and hypothalamus, together they are called as diencephalon, and it is also called as inner brain because it is present toward the inner side of the brain. If we look at this picture, we will be able to understand the location of thalamus and hypothalamus. This picture shows the cerebrum, which is the outer part. This white part is showing the corpus callosum, and beneath this lies the part which is called as the thalamus. So here you can see that this part which is lying just beneath the corpus callosum is called as the thalamus, and outer side of thalamus is called as epithalamus. This is the location of pineal gland, and the part which is lying below the thalamus is called as hypothalamus. So this part of the brain which is consisting of thalamus, epithalamus and hypothalamus is called as the diencephalon or interbrain. A very important hormone secreting gland is present here, which is the pineal gland. Let us try to understand it in detail. The main functions of thalamus are, it is the relay center for sensory impulses except smell. So all the sensory information it passes through thalamus and then it goes to cerebral hemispheres for interpretation if it is related to sensory impulses. Pain and temperature is also under the control of thalamus, and processing of sensation in conjunction with memories and emotions is also an important function of thalamus. I think you all must be knowing that If some smell is associated to some memory, then that memory becomes more strong. So that is the function of associating smell with the memories, and such function is also located at thalamus. Epithalamus has an important gland which is called as the pineal gland. Pineal gland is producing a hormone which is called as melatonin, which is controlling the biological clock. I hope you remember that we discussed that we have a 24-hour inbuilt clock in our body which is called as the circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm is controlled and stimulated by the stimulus which we receive from our eyes in the form of light. When this stimulus is received, then melatonin is secreted. So that is the function of epithalamus, and through this it is controlling the circadian rhythm. Besides this, it is also containing habenular nuclei which control emotional response to odors. Odors means smell. Nuclei here means a set of nerve cells. So it is having a set of nerve cells which are controlling emotional response to smell. Now the third part, that is the hypothalamus, is again a very important part of brain because it is controlling autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system means all those organs which are not under direct control of our wish. So those organs which are working on their own, they are called as the autonomic organs, and those responses which we generate as a reflex action, they are also called as autonomic responses. It also coordinates nervous system and endocrine system. Endocrine system is that system which is related to secretions being produced by glands. Endocrine glands are those glands which are pouring their secretion into blood. So through hypothalamus, brain is coordinating with the endocrine glands. It is also controlling body temperature, that is thermoregulation. It is also controlling hunger and thirst, and it is also controlling biological activities and assisting the circadian clock, which is mainly controlled by epithalamus. Another part of brain is hippocampus. Hippocampus is brain structure embedded deep in the temporal lobe of each cerebral cortex. It is an important part of limbic system and the cortical region. It regulates motivation, emotion, learning and memory. It has major role in learning and memory. So hippocampus is the structure which is present in the temporal lobe. Alzheimer's disease is characterized by loss of memory and loss of ability to make new long-term memories is due to hippocampus damaged by illness or an accident. Then another part of brain, that is amygdala, is a component of limbic system. Located close to the hippocampus in the frontal portion of the temporal lobe. It also plays important role in emotion and behavior, and it is essential to feel emotions and perceive them in other people. That means it is important for feeling one's own emotions and for feeling emotions of other, or empathy. Induce fear and many changes that it can cause in the body center role in anxiety. So this is the part which has very important role in the anxiety. Amygdala is specialized for input and processing of emotions, while the hippocampus is essential for declarative or episodic memory. During emotional reactions, these two brain regions interact to translate the emotion into particular output. Next, let us study about limbic system. Limbic system, it gets its name from limbus. which means border of the brain. Basically, it is not one part of the brain, rather it is a functional system. It consists of sum total of functions of amygdala, hippocampus, thalamus, hypothalamus, basal ganglia and cingulate gyrus. It deals with emotions and memories. A ring of structures on inner border of the cerebrum and floor of diencephalon is forming the limbic system. It is encircling upper part of the brainstem and corpus callosum. Its main functions are it is controlling emotions and memory, and that is why it is also called as the emotional brain. It controls emotions, pain, pleasure, affection, fear and anger. It also controls emotions and memories. It is controlling endocrine glands and reinforcing the behavior. Amygdala assesses the emotional value of the stimuli, and if amygdala is hyperactive, it can lead to inappropriate fear and anxiety, and if its limbic system is dysfunctional, it may be manifested as epilepsy, dementia, anxiety disorder, schizophrenia or autism. Limbic system controls some behaviors that are essential for life for all mammals, like finding food and self-preservation. In human beings, limbic system is more involved in motivation and emotional behavior. Let us study about some of the important functions of cerebrum in detail. Mainly, cerebrum is related to sensory functions, motor functions, association and integration and cognitive functions. As far as sensory functions are concerned, brain is receiving many sensory impulses from all sensory organs. The cortical region of the cerebrum is responsible for making sense out of these sensory impulses, which it is gaining from all different sensory organs. Similarly, motor functions, they are related with voluntary movements. Voluntary movements means those movements which are caused according to the will or wish of the organism. Cerebrum is related to initiating and terminating movements. It can suppress unwanted movements and it can control subconscious contraction of skeletal muscles, for example, swinging of arms while walking and true laughter. So, these kinds of movement, they are under control of cerebrum. You must have experienced that when you are walking, then your arms are swinging, but if you make a conscious effort, then you can control the movement of your arms. Similarly, true laughter is instantaneous, whereas you can fake your laughter also. So, though these two movements, they are involuntary or they are due to subconscious contraction of skeletal muscles, but you can convert them into voluntary movements too. Another important function of cerebrum is association and integration. Brain is receiving many different stimuluses, and these all stimuluses, they need to be associated and integrated. And because of this connection which is formed between different stimuluses, memory and personality is formed. So that means this part of the brain, that is cerebrum, is also related to formation of personality. Another important function of cerebrum is cognitive function. That means it is the seat of intelligence. These areas have been recognized which are related to some particular cognitive function, and they are called as Brodmann's area. These are mapped areas and these are numbered regions of the cortical tissue. So, if we look at this picture where we can see the Brodmann's area, which are mentioned as numbered regions. For example, number 1, 2, 3, etc. They are located here 1, 2 and 3. This region is related to somatic sensation, and such sensations which are related to touch or pressure, vibrations, itching, tickle, temperature, pain, joint and muscle position, they are related to this area. Similarly, area 4, it is related to voluntary contraction of specific muscles. More areas for skilled and complex and delicate movement. Along this suture, there are different areas which are related to contraction of specific muscles. If the movement is complex and it is delicate movement, then more area is allotted to that particular movement. Similarly, area 39 and 40, which is somewhere here. This area is called as Wernicke's area, which is related to language learning. And area 44 and 45, this area, that is also related to language learning, which is called as Broca's area. When we will study about language learning disabilities, then we will talk about these areas, Wernicke's area and Broca's area, which are related to language learning. Sensation depends upon number of receptors and not on size of body part. More area for lips, vocalization, ankle, toes and hand. This information is given about the voluntary contraction area, which is related to 1, 2, 3 and 4. So, the area which is present near the line or fissure where the frontal lobe is meeting the parietal lobe. So, in this area, these specific areas for voluntary contraction are located, and allocation of this area is related to how fine or how skilled the movement is. So, there is more area allocated to lips, vocalization, ankle, toes and hand, and lesser area is allocated to those parts which are not able to show very complex and delicate movement. You all might have experienced in your daily life that some of us are more comfortable with writing with the right hand, whereas some of us are more comfortable with writing with left hand. These differences, they are related to hemispheric lateralization, and hemispheric lateralization is sometimes termed as cerebral dominance too. Lateralization literally means that certain functions are located in one side of the brain. Lateralization of the brain function is the tendency for some neural functions or cognitive process to be specialized by one side of the brain as compared to the other side. But this is also seen that if one side of the brain is damaged, then the other side can take over the functioning of special behaviors and cognitive skills, which were previously thought to be located in the other part. There are subtle differences in structure and functions of right brain and left brain. This picture is showing that certain abilities, they are more related to the left side of the brain, like reasoning, numerical ability, scientific and languages learning, that is more related to the left side of the brain, whereas right side is more related to artistic abilities, spatial perception, emotional content of languages and imagination. So, here we can see that languages, they are located in both parts. As far as learning of language is concerned, that is more related to the left part, whereas as far as writing new content which is based on emotional content or imagination, that is more of the work of right side of the brain. There is another interesting information that hemispheric lateralization is less pronounced in females. We have also seen that some of us, they can work with both hands equally well.